Yo, what's happening, people, and welcome back to the Tiki Taka podcast, where you're going to hear hot takes, unbiased opinions, and hopefully have a couple laughs along the way. And
Yes.
I know what you're all here for this week, but before we get into that, please subscribe if you're watching and like the video, because it's done now. It's done now. The title race is over. Liverpool have won the league. Congratulations to them.
Mm-hmm.
Onslaught has won the league in his first season, and that is all because Arsenal have now lost at home for the first time this season. Their 15-game unbeaten run in the Premier League comes to an end with a 1-0 loss against West Ham. Now, we were both at the game, and yeah, for me, that was one of the worst performances I've seen at the Emirates in 10 years or whatever it is that I've been going, and I could see it coming as well. We were in the car on the way up there, and I was like, Graham Potter's been here before with Brighton.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that for a reason, because I was like, I know what that game looked like. I know how Arsenal looked in that game, and I could somewhat see it coming. And it's what we've said all since the Fulham game, really.
Yeah, about not really having enough, even with the time on the board. As look, to your point, it was a terrible game. Obviously, we went 1-0 down at the end of the first half, which was probably the most pathetic goal I think we've conceded all season.
Yeah.
Just like the timing of it all, the players involved. We know Bowen's their only real goal threat, and he's not even a aerial threat. Bowen can score headers, I've seen that, but he's not really an aerial threat.
Yeah.
We've got Gabriel and Saliba back there.
Yeah.
You know, and then obviously Wan-Bissaka's, I can't say cooked Calafiori, but you know, Calafiori's kind of made Wan-Bissaka look like he's actually a winger in that sequence. So no, look, it was terrible, but to your point about the whole Fulham thing, as bad as it was, we still had 45 minutes to get one back. And I was thinking, and I know you said it as well, like, after the 65th, 70th minute, we were like, yeah, we're not going to win this one. Yeah. We had a little bit of a flurry coming out after halftime. I think Trossard hit one, the keeper saved. I thought, you know. But we had more than enough time to win the game, of course, but I think for sure not lose the game. And not losing the game wouldn't have meant that the title race is still on. The title race would have been done if we didn't come out of there with 3 points. Yeah. But the symptomatic thing of Fulham and just Arsenal having over an hour or so to go and get a goal, just one, to not lose the game. And Arsenal don't have it in them to go and get a single goal
at home.
And that was towards the end, that was my biggest thing. I was like, I can accept that. Obviously, we don't have enough to win the title. We don't have enough to win the game today. But can we not lose at home? In front of me right here. Can we not lose at home? Can we go and get something as a moral victory? Shout out to Adele. He always says that he told himself he wouldn't take moral victories. And I never made that pledge to myself.
Yeah.
But I was begging for a moral victory of like, title race is done, but at least we haven't lost at home, and maybe we might not lose at home in the Premier League all season, and we can build and start to say that Emirates is a fortress going into next season and all this kind of stuff. But whatever way as an Arsenal fan that you want to slice up this game or this season, it does make poor reading. It does make poor viewing. It does feel you with like a lot to be desired. And I think, I was telling Amar, like, all Arsenal fans have now is to just dissect what went wrong and what can we do moving forward. And
which is
it's a terrible place to be.
Which is a good thing that this podcast, when we started it, we made sure we're not just going to talk about Arsenal, because this would be very depressing, and there are other teams that we can talk about and other teams that are still fueling us. So shout out Maresca, shout out AMORIM.
Yeah, we'll see.
But yeah, look, man, I just want to make the point that I don't think the title was, I mean, yes, it was lost on Saturday because of the points gap, right? Regardless of the Liverpool game, we both said immediately after the Arsenal game is done.
And that,
right?
Go on.
Even if Liverpool had lost against Man City, it still would have been done. It's just more like further proof that Arsenal won't capitalize when Liverpool drop points, because they drew with Villa midweek. But in terms of the performance that we saw against West Ham on Saturday, that's not the reason right? Or that 90 minutes
that
we haven't won the league or we won't win the league.
It's the frequency of seeing that 90.
It's because of the same thing of after we drew with Fulham in November and we came on the pod and we said, we both agreed literally after that game that we don't think we'll win the league unless we sign someone in January. And obviously that didn't happen. But the Fulham game, the Brighton game, the Villa game, when you're at home and there's half an hour left and you can't go and find the goal. All these games across, even Everton at home that we drew 0-0, all these games across the season where we haven't been able to go and find a winner and we haven't been able to produce enough going forward is the reason why we're not going to be able to win this league. And we will have a conversation in this pod about the transfer window, the board and the directors, because I think it's probably an appropriate time. Like you say, there's really nothing else for us Arsenal fans to do.
That's all we can do.
Sit in a dark corner and think about where the whole thing went wrong. But before we get there, there's one player, right, that we do need to talk about. And I think almost all the Arsenal players were poor on Saturday, other than maybe Gabriel and in my opinion, Thomas Partey.
I'll more comes after like what we've been talking about, but just over the season, I feel like Gabriel, obviously Saka, David Raya can like on my three of players who I can say genuinely, you put in title winning seasons. Like,
you know what, I'd put Timber in there.
Yeah,
because even though Timber, he maybe wasn't that great on the weekend, and he's had ups and downs, but not really downs that are like worse than like
crazy.
A 5 or 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
I think the amount of minutes he's been asked to play left back, right back, centre back at times against Aston Villa, coming off the back of an ACL, I'd put him in that.
I can definitely lend an ear to Timber, but in terms of...
And Havertz, to be fair. I'm actually going to put Havertz in there.
In terms of designating... And I do really rate Havertz, but I think he's also been...
I can't not put our top goal scorer in there.
Part of the downfall. No, it's not because I think Havertz has had a bad season, so don't get me wrong. It's not like... Because I'm not putting Havertz in there, he's had a bad season. I'm still very much a Havertz guy. I just think that those 3-4 guys, like, when we are designating and trying to assign blame, and there's other guys in the Arsenal team who I do like Rice, I do like Saliba and these guys, but I do think that they also had a part to play in why we weren't able to make up that additional goal, or why we were in certain situations in the first place.
Those 3 players literally haven't dropped below an 8.
Yeah, and that's what I'd like to say. Yeah. Like, in terms of like who I'm thinking, like, you were at the level to win a title all season.
Yeah.
You know, and Gabriel, especially, I feel like he's been there for the last 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Like, Gabriel's put in 3 title-winning season performances, which I think does deserve its credit amongst what will be a lot of, like, you know, bad vibes and blame gaming.
I mean, at the very least 2.
Yeah.
Right.
At the very least 2.
Guys want to still say he had the bozo gene in that first year, but I think it was fading out. It was fading out. But yeah, look, I would agree with that. But then, so like you say, if it's only those 3 players, there's a lot of players that we can talk about to kind of make the point that maybe they haven't pulled their weight and whatever. Maybe that's an episode we can do where we kind of rank Arsenal players
this season.
This year on like an A to D or whatever. Let us know in the comments if you think that's a good idea or something you want to see. But then there are players in the Arsenal team that you expect more from because they've shown you that they can deliver more. They can show you that they've been better players, and because they also should be a leader on the pitch, right? Similar to how we say the whole Man City team's been poor, but Phil Foden, PFA Player of the Year, please step
up. Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of guys that have been poor at Arsenal, but Martin Odegaard, the captain, best player in the league last year. I sent you that thing of Gary Neville. He's so smooth and silky. And
Jamie Redknapp and all these guys.
Waxing lyrical about Martin Odegaard. And we were doing the same. But what we've seen this season now, culminating in a just disastrous 90 minutes from Odegaard on Saturday, has just been so far off it. that the conversations me and Michael at least have now that we don't know where this place for Odegaard is in the team long term.
Yeah, I'm very lost in my faith for Odegaard.
Yeah.
And like, I do want to say that I would give him one more season. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't lost as much faith as Michael.
But
Michael was his biggest fan.
I was a very big Odegaard guy last season. To your point about what Jamie Redknapp was saying and Gary and all these guys, I was waxing lyrical about Odegaard because he was at that level last season. I thought he was performing very well. He was controlling games, and it wasn't even necessarily a goal or assisting.
Yep.
Last season, because Odegaard was putting in performances. He did get decent numbers last year, but he's putting in performances where I was like, I can excuse you not. You've created 2 clear-cut chances. You've dictated the tempo. You've moved the ball around and got everyone involved. And we're playing good football. We're winning games, and your fingerprint was there in that game.
Yeah, but the chance creation stuff was high.
Was there? Yeah,
that's
was there.
The biggest point.
And now this season with Martin Odegaard, I've really. I've struggled to find the benefit that he's been bringing to the team, like beyond just the pressing, and he sets the press well. And fine, I definitely accept that he does set the press well, and he runs around and he's telling guys you need to go into the corners and stuff. But for what we were trying to do, the ambitions that we had to win trophies, to win a title, I don't think I can accept from our club captain that the best thing he brought to the table was setting the press and
100%.
And like he was,
guys will kill Havertz for that.
But you know, if Havertz does bring a lot more to the table than that, but if that was the best thing Havertz brought to the table, it's not calm. But Havertz is not our club captain. Havertz is not the, you know, he
hasn't set like a almost level of expectation.
Exactly.
We said last year that if Havertz gets what he got last year, this year,
it's calm.
Which is why I could potentially put him in that category. Because he's on 9 goals in February and he's out for the season, so he's on track to do probably better than we expected.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
It wasn't going to be because of Havertz that we didn't win this league.
I just thought that Odegaard, man, with the whole you were down, so Saka stepped up both mentally as well as with output and goals and assists and changing games and keeping us in games. And Saka did what he could do to affect games. Now that Saka has gone down, I don't know if Odegaard has done what he could do to affect games. And if Odegaard...
You do know.
Well, he hasn't.
Yeah.
But if Odegaard was to come out and tell me I did everything I could and I gave it all I had, then I would be like, you know what, maybe we should sell him. Maybe we should get 50, 60 in the summer.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't good enough.
They're calling him the Coutinho transfer.
Bro, and you're right, man. The U-turn that I've done on Odegaard is crazy. But that's because I feel as if the drop in form is and it's not
so
just...
You're very much in a position...
No, I wouldn't sell him.
Okay.
But I wouldn't sell him, but I am in a position now...
70 mil
exactly. Where if that sort of figure comes in, anything for me above like 60, 65 mil, before I would have never even considered that.
Yeah.
I would have like, Odegaard's not worth 65 mil. If you told me last season, 65 mil, club wants Odegaard, not worth it.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, oh, well, who could we get? Could we get a goal threat for 65 mil? Could we get, a goal, like a creator and a scorer for 65 mil? Because the problem is with Odegaard next season, and this is why I would give him next season. Because if he does find some sort of form in terms of goals and assists or just generally getting back to creating chances for others and dictating play, then cool. But if Odegaard wants to give us this, or even a slightly more improved version of this, it's probably not worth... I would rather just get 65 and get a drastically better version of a 10 than this. Yeah. I don't want Odegaard to come back thinking if I'm marginally...
So where does your faith lie? Is he going to come back and is he going to... Was this a blip season? Or is this
like a new normal?
Where you...
And the issue I do have as well is that I'd have PTSD from Martinelli.
Yep.
I have PTSD from Jesus. I have PTSD from Trossard, where I was telling myself, maybe not Trossard, but I was telling myself, especially with Martinelli, that the last season, that was just a blip season, and that this season we're getting back to Martinelli goals, and I'm going to get back to some sort of like 12 to 15 goal like play, season winger. And it's almost as if Martinelli's showing my new norm is going to be 8 and 5 or 7 and 3, which is like cool. But I'm worried about that with Odegaard. Do players
and the Martinelli thing is that's still better than what Odegaard is going to give us this season,
which is crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
So
which is crazy because fans did come to accept with Martinelli was the harsh reality. Same thing. 2 years ago, my friend was always asking me this. He was like, would you take Leao over Martinelli? Would you take Leao over Martinelli? And I was like, no. Not because I genuinely thought Martinelli was a better player than Rafael Leao, but just because for what Martinelli was giving us, for how he works and the English Premier League and all this kind of stuff, I thought his skill set is better suited for the team.
Yeah.
And now it sounds crazy to ever choose Martinelli over Leao.
But you know what, you choose, now obviously you would choose.
I don't want to get in that position with Odegaard though. I like guys were telling me, would you rather?
But my point is that everything you've said about Leao as to why you wouldn't have.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It's still
true.
Exactly,
makes sense.
Right.
But now you would take all of that like sort of like daisicalness and non-pressing and all of that if he was going to get you.
Yeah.
10, wherever it would be. But to the point about to keeping on Odegaard, the thing about Odegaard is you're asking me, do I think Odegaard will be back next season?
Or do you think this is?
I think, and this is a cop-out answer, but this is generally how I feel. I think it doesn't matter if Arsenal do what they should do in the window, and that will be to Odegaard's like benefit but detriment. Odegaard will be able to hide next season if Arsenal go and sign a goal scorer and 2 wingers that also get goals.
But he won't. But he won't be able to hide with numbers that he's producing this year.
Maybe so, but also maybe not. Because my whole point about Odegaard is anybody telling Odegaard that this isn't good enough?
Well, Odegaard himself is coming out and saying that he's being told he needs to score more goals.
But he's not doing anything to change that. And he starts next week.
So
it's not like Odegaard...
Are you going to leave it with the cop-out answer? Or are you going to make a statement on the podcast that we're going to come back to next year?
And look back...
Because guys will remember in our football debates episode last year, one of the biggest statements on that episode was from you saying that you think William Saliba is more replaceable than Martin Odegaard.
Yeah.
That was one of the big statements.
Yeah. No, that's true.
You let your nuts hang with that.
That's true.
So what are you saying now? Are you going to back your boy? Or have you fully sacked it off? And I'll give an answer as well.
I do think, I do just think that this season will be very tough for me to forget. And maybe it's easy to say that now. Yeah, as we're in the darkest of the corners and the room, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. We know we're not going to win anything this season. So I do think that even if Odegaard was to come back, it would maybe even piss me off more because it's like, where was this last season when there was a very attainable league on the table and there was a very attainable cup run on the table?
100%.
But now when teams are back and teams have strengthened and all this other stuff is going on.
It's almost like you want him to be this bad. Like, so you know that this is just you. Right?
Exactly. And I can just say, all right, Odegaard gave us a couple good years and now he doesn't have it. If Odegaard does come back, then I don't think I could ever forget this season. And as I say, it's not just that he's not.
But do you think he's coming back?
I don't think Odegaard will ever. I think he will be better than. I would think. I don't think. I think Odegaard will be better than he is this season, but I don't think he'll ever come back to the past 2 seasons that we've just had. And I think that is crazy to say because he is still young and maybe it's the baby and all this kind of stuff. But maybe even if Odegaard does come back, my threshold will be higher because of what he's given me now. But if you're going to come back, you need to come back and instead of the whole like Odegaard, Saka, whose team is this, or like who's the most important. It needs to be undeniable that Odegaard is just the spearhead.
But that's
not
going to happen.
Then you'll never be back in my eyes because that's what it's going to take. Fair. That's what it's going to take for me to forgive. As I say, you can't get back to last season's level next season. But you
do think he will be better than?
I think it is. I think it'll be very tough for Odegaard to not be or even just par with this season. Because I have it so low down as Arsenal seasons from Arsenal captains. It could be the worst captain season I've ever seen.
Yeah.
With expectations and everything included.
Even when Mesut used to get his weekend trips to Turkey, there was never a season. Maybe Odegaard needs that, but
you think he'll be back?
For me, I agree with you that On the whole, yeah, I kind of
Exactly.
agree with almost everything you're saying, yeah. But the only thing that I think Odegaard might be able to hit a level similar to what he was at last year, the 15 goals,
we forget about that. Yeah,
that's not going to happen. Yeah,
we
but
can forget about that.
He got 8 and 10 last year. I think Odegaard could consistently potentially get like an 8 and 8, right? Which is, and I've always almost said that his long-term future in this Arsenal team should be as a Bernardo Silva type player. But to be honest, I don't know if there is like how much extra squad building you have to do. Like you say, if Arsenal do what they should do in the summer, Odegaard can hide behind that.
That's the worst thing.
But I think the biggest thing is that I have some belief, yeah, that Martin Odegaard is just not this bad.
Right?
I like to believe that he is like from where he was, he can't just be this now permanently, right? And I have some faith and some trust in his football ability and his desire and want to like try and improve at top level, right? But I don't think it's necessarily, and this is where I agree with you, I don't think it's necessarily going to be because Odegaard is like just that much better now or next season. I think it's going to be because of the players that come back around. Yeah,
exactly.
Like I think Odegaard might hit a certain level between like in the last 7-8 games of the season because Saka might be back playing. And I think Odegaard and Ben White might be back and they might have that triangle and things might click again and he might be able to just telepathically play those passes to Saka. Saka knows what he's going to do and it all just looks a bit more smooth. But I don't think it's necessarily going to be because Odegaard himself is just like that much better.
I just on his season, I just like Odegaard's mentality this season for me. I can't reiterate it enough. It's left the biggest sort of salty taste or bad taste in my mouth. I just think, as the club captain, with the mission at hand, with the players who were out for the times that they were out, for Odegaard to not mentally step up. Not mentally. I wasn't even asking for Odegaard to physically start barging guys off the ball and to start, maybe running 20k a game or whatever it is. But mentally, because he would always be kind of scrawny, kind of small, kind of easy to shove off the ball if you really put it on him. But to not like mentally make that jump of I'm going to take more shots, I'm going to force that ball through to certain players, I'm going to make sure Havertz gets 2 shots a game, I'm going to make sure that Trossard likes to shoot. We all know this. I'm going to make sure I'm going to feed Trossard early. Trossard can get his shooting boots on early. Yeah. There was never none of that sort of leadership, like mentorship. I'm going to put, not even this, team on my back, but like just put certain guys in certain positions to win. If Odegaard wasn't going to be the guy himself to score or assist, he definitely did not do enough of putting his teammates in winning positions where he can maximize the best out of their skill sets. And I just think it's so tough for me to excuse that because like he came back from that injury in November, whenever it was, for Chelsea, and now here we are in Feb, and we're out of everything.
Yeah,
Odegaard's played every game,
and also like you can't really excuse that because we saw Saka do it
exactly.
So it's not like it's an impossible task, or a feat that's not achievable.
And Saka did it within his he did modify his game a little bit because he was a bit more of a creator than a scorer this season when Odegaard was out. But like Saka did it pretty much within his own game of like, well, I'm good at this. I'm good at that ball to the back post. I'm good at these set pieces. I'm good at, the transition game. So I'm going to double down on this stuff that I'm good at to get others involved. I just don't think there was that sort of IQ from Odegaard of like...
And there was also an acceptance from Saka of like, okay,
it's mine. Out, yeah.
So I need to do everything I can to make sure the Bournemouth loss was our first loss and Saka didn't play that game. And then we came on after Newcastle and said that Saka created 2 goal-scoring opportunities that we should probably score from. At the right header at the end. And there was nothing from Martin Odegaard. And that's the problem, is there was an expectation from us, from Arsenal
as there fans, should have been. It's not that it's come out of nowhere. There should have been an expectation.
Now, and Martin Odegaard will rise and he will... We speak about Jesus. I think Jesus gave us what he could give us this season. He won us points against Brentford. He put us through against Palace in the semi-final. He won us points against Crystal Palace in the league. I think Havertz, he won us points in that period where Saka was out. Martinelli scored some goals. Trossard won us points in the North London derby.
Do you think...
I can't really say that Martin Odegaard won us any points.
No, you can't. He didn't. That's just the epitome of it. He didn't. But do you think that maybe Chelsea. But do you think that Arteta,
and that was when Saka was still in the team.
Yeah. Do you think that Arteta will do enough of what he needs to do with Martin Odegaard? Like, I don't know if it's simplifying his game, making his instructions very clear, but now we have 13 games of pretty much cannon fodder. Yeah, and I really wouldn't be able to stand this season if Martin Odegaard thinks that he's done enough or he did everything he could. Sort of, it doesn't even necessarily need to be this season because this season is over, and there needs to be some sort of accountability placed at his feet where Martin says to us, maybe not verbally, but on the pitch, but on the pitch, I wasn't good enough. And I guess maybe it'd be more annoying now that we're out of it, Martin wants to score from 30 yards and Martin wants to curl one and, but there needs to be...
That would be so awesome.
Yeah. But there needs to be some sort of accountability from Martin to us as fans to say, and beyond just the clapping at the end of the game when he comes around and he does all the media stuff, but like, I wasn't good enough. I should have been doing more of this, or this is what you needed from me. I think Arteta going to simplify his game and say, hey, you want him to do the Bernardo Silva thing, which is very complicated and very complex. And Odegaard can obviously do that, but it means that we must sign a 10. Or we must sign
but also the issue with the Bernardo Silva thing is that, like, I don't think I've seen any other team in Premier League history have a Bernardo Silva type role in their system. Right, the 5'7" guy that can play in a double pivot, can pick the ball up from the centre back, can move it forward, can chip in with goals and assists. Like,
and Pep doesn't make that guy captain.
What that Arteta might have to do structurally to the rest of the team to get that sign it, and players that he might need to sign to facilitate that. I don't know if that's going to happen, right? But in terms of Mick, like, I don't think we'll get anything from Odegaard about his performance in the season and whatever until the back end of the season, after the season maybe. But
the summer going into the next season, when he's doing what needs to change for us to be better.
You know how I feel on this, right? And Mikel Arteta is going to keep playing Martin Odegaard, and I will come here and I will criticize Mikel Arteta if he keeps doing that, because it's a bit of the Wenger thing of showing favoritism, and this guy is obviously not playing
at the level now.
And exactly, right? We don't have to say he's not good enough. Because even if we're looking at it from Mikel Arteta's lens, he's not ever saying that. But I'm expecting Mikel Arteta to realize he's not at the level.
But I can accept that. Like, if Odegaard, now that we know it's done, if Odegaard has the next 3 games on bench, I would love that. I'd love that. If it means Ethan starts, if it means there's a new...
Your U-turn is...
Or Deji Butler gets minutes. Bro, whatever it is. Because, okay, we're still playing for top 4. We can't let that one slip. We can't let second place slip. Yeah. But, as I say, for me, Arteta, there has to be accountability placed at everyone's feet, including Arteta's. But for the conversation we've just had, Odegaard's feet, I can't just have Odegaard captain every game to the end of the season, playing how he's playing, and then go into next season with new signings, and Odegaard can think that this is the new norm, and if I do this, but with new players...
Well, I mean, look, that's a future problem.
We won't know that until the future.
In 5 or 6 weeks' time, we can come on the pod.
It's just not good enough, nonetheless.
We'll probably get heated, and we'll probably start saying, Mikel Arteta, what does it take to drop this guy? But we'll get there. Or Odegaard turns it around. He starts scoring goals.
He's back.
Your take about he's not coming back, and
I just don't think he can definitely come back and be better.
Yeah.
But for me to say Odegaard's back will take almost like above and beyond. He can't just come back and get 8 and 10. That would be cool. That means he is back.
Yeah.
But for me to say that Odegaard's back, I need to see
the 15.
Yeah, I need to see some sort of, like, bro, above and beyond apology, and not just.
But we know we're never getting.
Yeah, but that's what I want. So that's what I want for me to say Odegaard's back.
He'll never be back then. But look, like I said, I think he can get an 8 and 8 just purely because of the players around him, providing Arsenal do what they need to do in the summer, which we'll talk about quickly here. I'm sure there'll be times, even for the rest of this season, that we speak about this, because, like you say, again, there's not really going to be too much to say on any Arsenal results or where the season went wrong and what happened. But a conversation about the 2 transfer windows we've had this season, and almost where the blame kind of lies. I said after the summer window, Like
Edu
I've
wasn't
said
good
it
enough.
almost every week that I feel like Arteta was let down. The only thing we needed was a signing that would score goals. And we didn't get them. They gave us Sterling, who has 0 goals. So, and then nothing in January. But then there's the question we raised, if they knew they only had 100 million to spend, why would they spend it on Calafiori and Marino?
Yeah.
Right. And then if Arteta knew that, then you can put blame on Arteta. We've had the conversation off air. Ultimately, we'll have all of our answers at the end of this summer transfer window. We'll know whether the Cronkies are not putting in money, whether the directors are failing in their like job title and job description of negotiating the deals and bringing the player through the door, or if Arteta is not sanctioning moves for certain players because
he wants his top targets,
right? Which ultimately I think he should get, right? If you're a big club, bring him the players that he
No,
wants.
I agree with that. First and foremost, that if Arteta wants, his top targets, he should sort of be stubborn in that fact that we should be moving like a big club. Arteta's like, I think it's a bit funny with Arsenal because, and obviously we're meant to be talking about the last 2 summers, but just from beyond the last 2 summers, from pretty much Edu and Arteta's time up until now, it's been, the strategy's been pretty clear. We signed sort of young players that are versatile, can play multiple positions and have a lot to prove in the game. And that sort of hungriness and level of talent mixed in with Arteta's coaching improves us. And we started from the back. We've signed several sort of goalkeepers and defenders and even midfielders to the point where we feel as if majority of us are happy with the defense we have, the goalkeeper that we have, and a large part of the midfield. Yeah, obviously Partey might go and Jorginho's looking like he's going to go, but it's also looking like Zubamendi's coming in, and then we'll have Rice, all this kind of stuff, yeah? So this is why the last 2 summers have been so baffling, because how has it gone so wrong at the top end of the pitch when they've done such good work at the bottom end of the pitch?
Yeah.
You've had 4 summers or 3 summers before to fix the bottom. I remember the bottom half of the pitch was our issues. We couldn't wait to get rid of David Luiz and Mustafi and Socrates and Rob Holding and Bellerin. And we couldn't wait to get rid of those guys. And Timber and Ben White and David Raya, Gabriel Saliba and Lewis Skelly, even like there's a lot of these guys who we couldn't love more. At the bottom end of the pitch, we love their tenacity and skill and all this kind of stuff. So the last 2 windows, man, I just don't really understand how it can go so wrong for Arsenal when it's been so clear what we need. I think it's been clearer what we needed at the top of the pitch than what we've needed at the bottom of the pitch, and we found it. And so I think a lot of that goes down to the directors. I think a lot of that goes down to the people negotiating deals. I've always said it. Well, I said it to you a lot of fair. Let 4 forwards or 4 attacking players go: Smith Rowe, Eddie, Reece, Fabio Vieira, and only brought in Sterling. We agreed almost unanimously that the 4 that we let go, either there's no place for them or that they're not good enough to take this team where it needs to go. So we're gonna have to sort of replace them, and then we've let them go and not brought anybody in, and I don't understand how that could possibly happen, finishing 2 points off top. I mean,
we both said that we think that like Arteta really thought he was getting Nico Williams in the summer.
I think that wholeheartedly, man. Not really.
And that makes a lot of sense because we were even saying off the season that Kai Havertz has had. If you go and sign like the big striker, you kind of tell Kai Havertz after the best season he's had, you're just the bench guy. Like, and that's Arteta's guy, so Arteta's probably not going to do that. So you bring in the left winger, you bring in Nico Williams, and then you have Nico Williams and Saka alongside Havertz. It gives you that chance to see if that's enough to go and win the league. To leave Arteta with Sterling, and then to not go and get in Watkins when there was clearly a deal to be done in January. It's painful. It's painful because they have the board, the directors, the Cronkies, whoever. They have just thrown this season away.
Thrown it away, man. And I think that is the most painful thing for me is there's no seasons to throw away, but there's seasons to throw away. Yeah. If City or even if Liverpool might still go on to have a phenomenal season, like maybe only lose 1 game and stuff, but if City or Liverpool had been the City or Liverpool when it was like Pep versus Klopp and these teams feel like inevitable and unbeatable and like we didn't have it to win the title, throw it away or prepare to win next season. But this felt like a very attainable Premier League.
Yeah.
This felt like, of all the Premier Leagues that I've seen potentially possible for Arsenal to win, this is probably the one I thought we could most likely win, especially when we saw how far off his City were.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so for the directors or the board or the Cronkies or whoever to sit down and and they're meant to have a bird's eye view of the whole thing. They're meant to be looking at the now as well as 3 years in the future. For them to sacrifice this now for any sort of potential 3 years, we think it will get easier for us.
Yeah.
I think that is the most ridiculous decision. We have a win now team missing one piece, and they're going to sacrifice that win now opportunity for what?
That's the main point. It's win now.
for what?
Like, we've done the squad building. we've even like beefed out the squad to have enough
depth and
like it's just a win now team, a win now situation. Go and buy the win now players.
I can't believe that. Like, I don't even know who, but 5 or 6 guys have come together and said, I think we can wait this one out. We finished 2 points off top.
Yeah.
The guys are like, no, let's not win the next one. Let's not go for the next one. Let's potentially go for the one after that one.
Yeah. I mean,
like,
look, it's criminal. And all we can see from Arsenal now is what they do in the summer transfer window.
Yeah, that's the only thing you can ever judge the club on now.
And business should be done early. But look, on the flip side, Liverpool played Man City on Sunday. They went to the Etihad. Arne Slot has taken 6 points from Pep in his first season.
I was asking my brother, when's the last time that's happened?
Yeah, the newcomers come and done that.
Or even just when's the last time Pep's lost 2 games in a season? Did Thomas Frank do it that one time?
Yeah, Thomas Frank did it.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I think that's probably the only one.
And probably in a decade.
Yeah.
Or plus.
So I think Arne Slot deserves his praise to have come in his first season and go on to almost basically run away with the title.
He definitely does.
When a lot of people thought post Klopp and a Fergie thing, and I mean nobody's really more angry than United fans right now. They're about to see Liverpool win the 20th title and all of that history between them, and there's Man United who a decade post Fergie
still
haven't been close.
I think that United-Liverpool rivalry is so interesting and so weird.
Yeah,
because sometimes you forget that it's there, and then you'll watch a game and you'll be like, oh yeah, these guys don't like each other.
Yeah.
And then but to give Slot his praise, I think to your point as well, man. I remember it clear as day. Like before the season had started, having meals with friends and we're pondering about what the season is going to bring us and all this kind of stuff. And I was speaking to this Liverpool fan friend of mine, and like most of us, he had no idea what to expect coming into this season. They weren't really making moves in the transfer market. Klopp had just gone. Klopp is their best manager ever, they will tell you, or their favorite manager ever, or whatever it is. The only thing he would ever say in the whole conversation is, I saw Jurgen Klopp win everything for my club, so if we spend the next 5-10 years in the wilderness, I don't care.
Yep.
That was sort of their Liverpool. Well, that was at least his mentality going into the season of like, he couldn't predict where they could finish. He didn't make a top 4 prediction. He was I'll take 6th place as long as we get into Europa League and keep some sort of European football. I'll take that. And bro, Slot's going to win them the league. Slot's going to make them look like not made them look. They are the best team in the country.
Yep.
Potentially one of the best teams in Europe. They beat Real Madrid and all this kind of stuff.
Win the league and Champions League.
They could win the league, the Champions League, and the Carabao.
Yeah, in his first season.
So in terms of the praise that Slot gets, and I remember we were saying in the first couple of weeks how sort of composed he looks and he's saying the right things, and stuff, we liked his interviews and stuff. But
the Dutch thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just commendable for him for seeing it all the way out.
And obviously, look, Slot deserves praise for how well he's got certain players playing in his system. Obviously, Ryan Gravenberch is a big one for that. Liverpool haven't signed anyone, and we both said on the pod last year that we didn't think Liverpool would win the league last year because the midfield is not good enough. Gravenberch, Endo, McAllister, Szoboszlai, Jones, and McAllister, whatever combo it is. But what Arne Slot's done with Gravenberch, he's given them a DM, he's given them a physical profile, he's given them now someone in there who actually looks like, okay, look, that's a midfield that looks like it can win the league now.
Liverpool also just control games better. Like the whole slower build-up stuff.
Yeah.
It gives them so much more control over games, and it's less like a basketball match. And Salah can still do his thing, and it allows people like Gravenberch to actually come and play. Like,
but at the same time, I actually don't think it's that different.
I do think it's not that different
because they still
hit the long switch, and they still.
I used to say about Klopp, like, and this wasn't nothing against Klopp, like he did what he did, but I never used to see Liverpool score a great team goal,
but now,
and I still don't think I see that.
I do think it happens like so much frequency this season that you kind of forget it happens. Not forget it happens, but it happened the other day. Like Liverpool will pass the ball or have the ball. Like City are poor, but they'll have the ball for like 2 minutes, literally. Van Dijk to the keeper to Van Dijk to Konate. Gravenberch will come and pick it up, and it's just so nothing. And then it ends up at Salah's feet, and it ends up in the back of the net.
Yeah, but okay.
But it's not a team goal.
This is my point.
It's not a team goal the way Arsenal would score a team goal or the way Man City would score a team goal. But it is a team goal in the sense of Trent's got on it, and Trent's in midfield a bit, and then Chen will hit a diag, and you know,
I was seeing that stuff last year.
No, the
doing the inverting.
No, but the build up is a lot slower. The positions and how guys are playing.
The build up might be slower. My point is just about seeing them score goals. They don't score goals in a different way to how I saw them.
Yeah, they don't. But the slowness of the build up for me leads into how much they control games, because now it feels like you can actually be a midfielder in Liverpool's team rather than just a guy who needs to run from one place to another place to cover spaces. Like Gravenberch,
But then, have you changed your opinion on Szoboszlai and Curtis Jones and they're now football players?
So I still think that
they play in slow build.
I still think that Curtis Jones is the most meaty Premier League footballer. He's up there with Mark Noble and all these guys
about to win doing slow build up.
Yeah. So, but I do think that Curtis Jones, for example, has played better this season, and Szoboszlai has played better this season than I've ever rated them for in seasons gone by. Yeah. And I think that's just generally because in this season, there's more to do for them now. Like, whereas with Klopp,
so you think that they're better when they play football, play slower build up?
Yeah. Well, I see more of the like tangibles of why people rate these guys in this slot routine or slot era or slot phase of play and all this kind of stuff. I never used to see anything with Curtis Jones. I just thought he's all right, he's meaty, he does these certain things. Szoboszlai had lungs and was energy, and for me that made sense with Klopp. You know, Klopp needs that in his midfield. But now that Slot, I think, or feel has guys doing a little bit more in midfield of genuinely ball work, and genuinely you need to be sort of here and there to make these passes, and McAllister ties it together. That it makes they're a bit more tidy. These guys look a bit more.
Yeah, I don't think for Jones and Szoboszlai, like I've been calling Szoboszlai Jordan Henderson since December. Right, that's all I really see in Szoboszlai's game this season.
It makes sense why Klopp signed him, as I said.
Exactly. And I don't look at Szoboszlai and I think he's a better player now than he was last year.
I do, unfortunately.
And I don't really look at Szoboszlai and think, well, at least I don't think he's a better football player than he was last year. I still look at Szoboszlai and I still think, yeah, that guy he runs a lot.
He does run a lot.
And that's about it, is what I take from that. And Curtis Jones, I thought was decent last year. I think he's still just the same. Like, and I made the point last year that he's a decent squad player. Looks like it for a team challenging, because I guess he's kind of proved that for under two managers now. I
just can't, like, as much as I would love to knock their game, and I don't like either of them really. Like, they're none of my favorite players or highly rated players in the league. But I will just say that I've respected them a bit more this season for what they've actually genuinely been doing in midfield beyond just, like, I know Szoboszlai can run the length of the pitch 3 times in 4 minutes. But now I'm actually seeing Szoboszlai score a bit more, be at the end of things a bit more, and Curtis Jones has had more goals than I ever would have expected. He has 1 goal this season. That's more goals than I ever would have expected from Curtis Jones out of a season. To be honest, I think their numbers will probably look very similar to last season. Yeah, if not,
I remember at the start of last season, we did our top 10 transfers. I think Szoboszlai was
high up,
second,
but that was because he started off very well, though.
Scoring some goals,
he did start very well.
Purple patch,
but I do just give Slot his credit for it's not revolutionizing, as I said before we came on.
I think someone like McAllister is one who there's quite a big difference between last year and this year.
I think he just stayed at the same level, McAllister.
No, because I think McAllister in the Klopp football and the heavy metal rock and roll with the up and down stuff that we're talking about, he's obviously going to be better in a slower build up that we've mentioned.
I agree, but I actually don't think in terms of, and like obviously McAllister was like the most dribbled past.
Between him and Gravenberch, I think they just hide all of the deficiencies that Curtis Jones and Szoboszlai.
But that's my point about the Klopp and the slot and the slow build up.
Yeah.
Is what they have. What Slot has them doing now, I think makes them less susceptible to basketball type games or like Rodgers and these man running through them in midfield, because Klopp used to set up his teams where it's like, bro, go long, play high, play fast, and if anything happens in the middle, Hendo, Szoboszlai, run, press, make sure it goes out of play. And now it's a bit more like, as you say, McAllister and Gravenberch can actually play football between each other.
That's why I say I agree with that, Pop. I just don't see them score goals in a different way. And that's mainly because...
I don't know if they do score goals in a different way, but they do build up in a different way. Or slower.
Yeah, they do. I
would agree with that. I also will say about the season now that Liverpool have won it and Slot's done very well to win it in his first season, and I do think that is massive. Like I can't underestimate coming in and winning it in your first season. And this is gonna sound like not even a backhanded compliment, but just so like haterish. But I just don't think it's actually been that good this season. Not by Slot, it's been a good season, great season from Slot.
Yeah.
Just in the entirety of the 2024-2025 campaign.
I agree.
Like we're in Feb, titles won.
Like I think Jurgen Klopp would have won this title.
We're in Feb, titles won, relegation is sorted. And like
he's had luck with injuries as well.
He's had luck with injuries, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt for that. But just in terms of the overall product of the 2024-2025 season from the Barclays or the Premier League,
yeah, you know what, 3 teams are going down.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Sport's going to do, at least for the last 5 seasons. They've had to do the final day title race, go into the wire. Who's going to do it? Who's going to pip it? You can end that one now. You don't need to do that. Relegation, who's going to stay up, who's going to go down.
There's only top 4. Really.
There's 4 teams, and top 4 is always there. That one always goes down because we know how many teams like to throw away the 4th spot. And that's not to take anything away from the credit that Liverpool
it's
deserve.
Almost like the last time Liverpool won it.
Yeah, it's not to take anything away from the credit that Liverpool deserve from winning it, but it just sometimes we keep saying it gets better every year. The Premier League, I don't think it got better this year. I don't think it got better this year.
But Mo Salah, and this is why I think for all of the slow build up and whatever Slot's done this year,
kept players fit.
I just think that when Salah is doing what he's done this season, it's very difficult to not win the league, right? Almost like when Haaland scored 36 goals, it's very difficult to not win the league.
I agree.
Salah's 25 goals and 16 assists in the Prem alone. So he could very easily... I mean, guys are saying he could break Haaland's record, right? He only needs 12 goals in 12 games, I think, to break Haaland's record. But even if you don't think he's going to get there, he should very easily hit 30 goals and 20 assists in the Premier League, which goes down as one of the best, if not the best Premier League season ever.
Yeah, it will be definitely up there. I think he's having an incredible year. I think he's having a better year. Even if he doesn't get another goal or assist from now to the end of the season, I think he's had a better year than that 34 goal a season campaign. Like just in terms of what he's actually been doing on the pitch, how impactful he's been.
They won the league.
The amount of points, but not even just that they won the league, but it's just like obviously that does actually. I can't take that away. That does actually
like
play
all of the goals and assists he's put in have culminated in winning points that then win you the league.
Yeah. But I agree with that. But it's just the every gameness of it all, and it's not like that other season where Liverpool could be 2-0 up and Salah makes it 4-0 because he scores a brace. It's like every goal that Salah has scored this season
it's the Mane team.
Exactly.
He's scoring the goals Mane was scoring.
Exactly. is pretty much meant something, has pretty much decided a game, has pretty much, and as you say,
I mean,
those points,
11 games with a goal and an assist.
Yeah. Those points have then won them the league, but it's just the fact that these goals here now are match-winning goals and game-deciding goals. And, that assist is the difference between the loss or the draw and the win. And he does deserve an incredible,
And I mean, when you look at the away games that Liverpool fans have been mentioning this, like Newcastle away, Salah 2 goals and an assist.
Yeah.
Everton away, goal and an assist. Villa away, goal and an assist.
He's on one.
And those are 3 games that Liverpool didn't win.
Yeah.
Salah's done all that.
Exactly.
To pull away with the point.
Exactly. Yeah, and so that's why I would say that the season, man, is super, super, super top notch from Salah. But I still think that Salah could go on this heater and somebody else could win it. Like, I don't like. It's not coincidence that Salah's gone on this heater and that they've won it. It's just that Salah is the best player in the Premier League right now, but there isn't a better team than, like, if Arsenal or any Man City had a good enough team where they were sharing the goals around and you had 10, 10, 10, 10, 10 each, I think you could rival Liverpool and it could go all the way down to the wire. But it's just that there isn't, like, Salah's the best player
but
and he's in the best team.
Then we come to the fact that, like, not only is it the 30 and 20 that he might get, it's
the winners and
against City, goals against Arsenal, goals against in those tough stadiums, in those tough games that are actually winning Liverpool these points.
No, they. I'm not going to take away from your point that they always, like, because of him, they would probably have, if he had this season, no matter how good everybody else was, they could have potentially always have won it.
It's also a bit of the other point that I mentioned to you off air yesterday, that I've just kind of realized that you probably need to have the best player in the league to win the league.
No, I kind of agree with that, but I think
I just don't know if I've seen a team win the league without the best player in the league.
I think it can look different. For example, like, we've seen Harry Kane put up numbers for Tottenham teams that have ended up 6th and 8th and stuff. And it's like,
I never would have said Harry Kane's best player in the league.
Yeah, no, and that's not my point. My point is that I've always thought that
and those are the 3s and 4s to make it 4-0. Those Harry. Let's make sure of that.
And that is a fair point. I'll take that as well. But there is ways in which, like, it can be almost unsustainable when one person has so much of your goals and assists. And, like, if there is a team that was well structured and was sharing around goals and assists, no guarantee that they're better than this.
Yeah.
But you could take it all the way. And if Liverpool were playing certain games with pressure of a team breathing down their neck, you don't know where it could go. That's my only point. Is, like, I agree, Salah's the best player in the league, and more often than not, the best player in the league ends up winning it for said team. But because Salah scored so many goals and assists for Liverpool, it's almost absorbed everybody else. Yeah. And Gakpo has contributed, and all these guys have done their thing. But if there was another team breathing down their neck that was a legit team and not like a star man with little sort of pieces helping out, just team, we have defenders who can score and we have midfielders who do their job and we have all of these kind of guys, I think it could have been a very interesting, as I say, this title race, to my whole point, is an obtainable one. Liverpool have done well to win it and they deserve all the credit in the world. But if there was any other team that was in the running, I think it could have gone evil.
Yeah. Look, I agree with what you're saying, but I think it's almost like just a full circle. Round of, like,
but he's the best player.
There's not another team there.
Yeah,
Salah just keeps
pushing
them that way. So, but it's just there's loads of different points.
But I do agree with what you're saying, and it speaks to City, man. It speaks to.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think we've said what we need to say on City for this season. But if there's anything you want to mention,
I was just thinking about this. I was like, I really want to see City win the league every year. And I would love to see another season of City being so. It would be so fun to clown on Pep and stuff. But I'm also starting to think that I think, like, we need someone. Like, maybe if it's not City, but I feel like the 3-horse thing. I love that thing. With, like, 3 teams are in it and 3 teams can win it. And, like, I don't know, as much as I don't want City to come back and win it next year, and I would love another struggle to get top 4 race, I would also quite like to have a third team.
I agree.
You know,
that's another thing that makes it just a better product, a better Premier League.
Yeah. And maybe if it's somebody else, maybe it's Villa, they make the right signings and they're formidable and stuff, or whatever it is. But I think the league in general is just better when it's like, you know.
Look, I think it will be City because they'll have
It's a bit boring when you can just slap up everybody 5-1.
Yeah.
Wait, like, you know, obviously Liverpool 1-2-0, but I would love for that game on the weekend. Obviously, Arsenal had already lost, so it doesn't matter. But for there to genuinely be some sort of needle and jeopardy,
like what it was last year.
Yeah, and
like, whenever it was
you could lose this one.
Arsenal City, Liverpool City last year.
Yeah, you could lose this one.
Yeah,
you know, there just wasn't any of Liverpool are going to lose this one.
Yeah, and I think, like I said yesterday, I think that's partly Arsenal's fault. I think that game probably looks different if Arsenal do their job. But you mentioned Villa, and if they make the right signings, you can probably rely on Emery to do that, especially if they're forward players, because they played Chelsea after a midweek game against Liverpool, and they came from behind from 1-0 down to win the game 2-1. 2 goals from Marcus Asensio, 2 assists from my boy Marcus Rashford that I gave MVP last week. Good to see you happy.
Your boy.
Always. You know that better than anyone.
No, it's true. And just now, it's arm around the shoulder stuff. It's coming out in public. Yeah. Before he was getting praised under the table. Now it's above board.
No. Look, and my opinions on Rashford. Yeah, I said after Rashford didn't leave in the summer that Rashford's an idiot. Yeah. And from September to January, that was all I said on this podcast. Was Rashford is an idiot. But I have also always thought that Rashford, and to be honest, the Rashford conversation just became like there was no conversation.
Yeah.
AMORIM told him he's not good enough and he's not training right, and some people believed that Rashford's attitude problem.
Well,
and
all
Rashford
I can say is, as much as I was gullible to believe the media churn coming out of Man United about Rashford's mental state and his love for the game and where he is at this stage of his career, the only grace I would give myself is it went on for so long. It wasn't like it was like a 2-3 month propaganda thing. It was like it was like 16 months, 18 months.
Look, I mean, when Ruben Amorim tells you, I'd rather play the 56-year-old goalkeeper than Rashford, you have to think like there's something here.
It was just so many months of everybody saying that Rashford doesn't care about football, and Rashford is not right, and he's not sharp, and I'm not sure what and he's done well for his community, but I'm just not really quite sure if he needs to sort of get his priorities in order and focus. Like it was going on for so long.
But that's also a bit my point. Like
I was just like, maybe he doesn't care about football.
There was nothing left to say on Rashford.
I'm happy for him. I actually really am happy for the fact that.
I mean, I joke, but we've both seen his quality. We've both always known that Rashford's not just. He's been playing poorly for sure, but he's not just a terrible footballer.
I'm also happy to see that 27-year-old has not just given up on football and said that I'm done. I'm not going to come back to the game.
And it is just a Manchester for now. It's just a Manchester thing.
It's interesting. The Man United fans clamoring. There's still that divide of should we have him back, and some are saying, I'm happy for him, but he does just have to go. He needs a change. This is what's best for him, type stuff. I wouldn't put it past Man United to not sell him in the summer.
Yeah.
And kill his career.
But if it's Amorim, he has to
kill his career
Amorim
extensively.
Amorim can't go back on that.
It was nasty from Amorim.
Come on.
And it's almost now. It's looking
But the reason I won't put it past Rashford is because Rashford is in India.
But we were also saying
we said in the summer, Rashford's love for Man United is just going to kill his career.
Yeah, and we will come back to the game, but we were saying with Rashford that Amorim was his last chance. We were saying that if
at Man United,
if Amorim comes in and says he's not training at the level and he's not this and that, it's like, bro, where do you go from here? You've had 3 managers come in and say the exact same thing about you. So, but now Emery.
Well, yeah, I mean, Rashford 2 assists, Asensio 2 goals. And for listeners of the pod, me and Michael have a term off air called the Emery Super Boost. Now, that refers to what Unai Emery does with his attacking players, no matter whether it was Gerard Moreno in Villarreal when they needed to go and win the Europa League.
Those guys.
It was Carlos Bacca at Sevilla, Kevin Gamero at Sevilla, Aubameyang and Lacazette.
Bacca is
crazy. Remember.
Yeah, Bacca is crazy.
Right? Aubameyang and Lacazette, the handshake celebration that we used to see every week because the two of them used to bang goals. And then Steven Gerrard is at Aston Villa, then the relegation zone. Ollie Watkins is playing off the left to accommodate Danny Ings. It's an absolute mess.
It's a nightmare.
Unai Emery comes in. Ollie Watkins has had his 2 best seasons.
This time last year, I was giving Watkins an MVP every week. He got a goal or assist.
Yeah.
I said, how is he doing? How does he keep on going?
100%. So there's a thing that over the past decade or so, that Emery with his forward players, they receive a super boost. So we mentioned off air yesterday that there's a bit of an Asensio tax, because I don't know if Asensio does this at Chelsea, or if he does this at Arsenal or Tottenham, and some of those teams might be better football clubs than Villa. But Unai Emery has a way of maximizing what he can get out of his attackers. Marlon, I think we even said on the pod that we both kind of think Marlon's a bit mid. Yeah. But Marlon has come and he's looking like a threat.
He's already scored. There's no 007 allegations for Marlon. Marlon's beat the allegations.
He looks like he can play on top. Morgan Rogers, we don't need to talk about the super boost. Him. But I know you probably want to say some stuff on Asensio.
I'm just shocked, man. I was telling you, like, I've always rated Asensio. Always thought he's a very good footballer, but always thought he's the type of footballer that would never work in the English game. Not just physically, but mentally as well. Asensio likes that.
And I think a lot of people are with you.
Asensio likes that tapas on the beach. Yep. He likes training to end by 3 p.m. Sunshine and rainbows. Yeah. And I can go for a stroll with my dog and watch tennis and stuff in the afternoon.
Go to the beach and kick up.
That is the lifestyle. Asensio's from Malaga, some sort of small island. That is the lifestyle that Asensio, I know, wants and is looking for. So for him to come to the Emery team, him signing for Villa is a bit of a shock. But yeah, he was getting bench minutes at PSG. It's just the fact
it's
that
all Emery. That he's come.
It's just the fact that it's a straight loan. Yeah, there's no like guarantee of anything happening next year, and Asensio is playing as if like it's a title on the line.
He's got something to prove.
Yeah. Asensio is playing as if like I'm just
he doesn't have 5 Champions Leagues.
Exactly. He's working back, and he's as I say, always thought he was a good player, but I'd never ever once thought Asensio was gonna glide into the Premier League and just become a top player, or just like show it from match day 1 moving forward, And as you just said, it's all Emery. It's all the conversations he's having with Emery. It's all the respect he has for Emery. So Emery deserves that sort of credit as well for super boosting Asensio. But there is very few people that could convince me the Asensio I saw at Madrid and the Asensio that never played at PSG was just going to come to Aston Villa. Yeah. And it's, as you say, it's the Villa thing. It's like, if he's gone to a city or he's gone to a team that has all the possession and all the ball and he doesn't have to do that much running and tracking back and working hard and all that kind of stuff, calm. But Villa do a lot of work. Like, Villa do a lot of tracking back. Villa do a lot of out of the ball stuff.
They're like a powerful team. Right? They do a lot of up and down and high intensity.
And it's the fact that he's come on as well just to be a starter. Bailey's not been starting all the games this season. But I thought it was going to be some competition. Bailey won, Asensio won. It's like just all Asensio. And when he's done, Bailey comes on.
What Emery's done is he's put Asensio in Rodgers' position and put Rodgers in Bailey's position. Right? So he's had Rodgers, now you play on the right, up, down. Asensio, you play as my 10, luxury player. And that's why I think tactically, Emery's
got it right.
Like I said, the super boost, he knows how to put his forward players in positions where just get the absolute maximum from them. And already you can see that with Rashford as well. One of my cousins watches the pod. He's a Villa fan. He wanted a bit of a segment on Rashford. I've said my piece. You've said your piece.
We love it.
What do you think the long-term long term for Rashford, obviously it's early days, but assuming he has
Keeps
a bit
this
of a
sort of form.
here, you got to be telling Rashford sign the contract at Villa.
My biggest fear is that Rashford does keep this sort of form
at Barca,
and exactly, and has his head turned by Barca, or starts to think that like, but if Barca's available, then and everybody.
Well, my cousin wants to get a Rashford Villa shirt, so he's not gonna.
I would never do that until it's permanent. I'd never do that until it's permanent. That's my biggest thing. But Rashford, if you go to Villa, you're going to be in top 4 contention. You're going to revive your career. You're going to challenge for trophies, Villa in the FA Cup and stuff. I expect them to go far in the FA Cup.
We've just said if they make the right signings in the summer, push.
Exactly. Yeah. Move up. So I think Rashford's in a very, 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 very good spot right now. The very good manager. So to throw that away for uncertainty in other clubs, like you might never be a starter.
Literally anything could happen at Barca.
Yeah.
Literally anything.
We saw what's happened with Olmo and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. And Barca could sign Rashford
and then go sign Nico Williams.
Go sign Liao. For a cut price, don't go sign someone else.
Yeah.
And now there's only bench minutes for Rashford at Barca, and it's like you've just traded one bench for another bench.
Yep.
And
agreed.
You're conning yourself that you've had a great career and you've done all of these things. So,
but because of his age, and again, Villa fans might not like me saying this, but because of his age, he probably finds it difficult if he signs a 5-year deal with Villa to leave Villa and move up.
Yeah, that is true. He has to have a serious conversation with himself. And
then it's like he's accepting that what I win at Villa will be what I win.
He has to have a serious conversation about what he wants out of the game and sort of his appetite for the next 2 to 3 years, 4 years. Because I agree, I don't think Rashford should sign a 5-year deal. I also don't think the club should offer him a 5-year deal. Yeah, I think Rashford should sign a 3-year deal. Yeah, and then or a 2 and an option, and we can reevaluate.
But that doesn't help Villa though.
It doesn't help Villa because they could lose him for free at 30, and he could then go to Barcelona and stuff. But at the same time, for Villa, and this is assuming Rashford's kept the same sort of momentum.
It could be worth it.
It could be worth it.
Rashford for 2-3 years.
It could be worth it. It could also all fall apart if Emery gets poached and goes somewhere else, and the new manager comes in, and it's back to the Rashford that Man United.
Yeah.
And you've just slapped him on a big long contract, and like
that would be fun.
Because if Emery does very well, I still think that there will be other clubs who will be interested in Emery. Madrid might not have a manager in a year's time and all this kind of stuff, and it doesn't mean that Emery will go to Madrid, but it's you start looking at CVs in Europe, and
yeah, and I mean
there's very few.
But I mean, almost if any forward players don't need a super boost, it's the Real Madrid forward players.
No, it's true. I just think that they should both treat it with caution, but both get it done. Rashford should stay at Villa. Villa should sign Rashford on, but don't give him the keys to the castle.
Yeah, 100%.
And then also from Rashford's side,
don't make him the highest paid player.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like he's already, like I said, my cousin's already saying the star man, and he's gonna be immediately loved.
But I do think that benefits Rashford. Like Rashford will go to Villa and get nothing but superstar love
up until a point, probably, right?
I think, until maybe it gets to his head too much.
You know what I'm saying?
But I do think at Barca, this sort of negativity and stuff that Rashford's looking to get away from, you're not gonna get away from that at Barca. But if you come on
and Barca won't care, because like United fans would get onto him, but there were still United fans.
He's a good lad. He's our boy. Exactly.
Right, you won't have any of that if you go to Barca. So, I agree. And on the flip side, a manager that's dropping
stocks, everything's dropping,
flying down the table.
I don't think Chelsea can hold on to anything right now.
Even change system in this game. 5 at the back look like with Augusto and
Amorim says when you change systems, you're done.
Amon messaged me full caps overlap. Gusto, he's going forward on the overlap. But you know what? Yeah, like as much as we banter about Maresca, I do actually think Chelsea probably could have won that game. Maybe should have won that game.
Right? I mean, Jorgensen throws it into the back of his own net.
And the Cole Palmer chance.
Yeah.
And so we won't kill Maresca too much. But I want to have a conversation about Cole Palmer. And I know you're a bit worried about Palmer and Odegaard, but we've done our Odegaard
slander, right?
So
you know how we stand.
we can talk about Palmer. Now, my point on Palmer is that I think he's a very similar player to Bruno Fernandes. Yeah, in the sense of that they both come and their first season they put up ridiculous numbers that we haven't really seen before, but it was a bit heavily stat padded by pens if you look into the details.
Yeah. The second spectrum stats.
Second season, it kind of falls quite a bit, and then you start analysing the game. And I've said this to you before about Palmer being an output-heavy kind of player. But I just don't think, like you said on Odegaard, like, we don't need to see Odegaard get goals and assists. Obviously, that would be nice.
Yeah, to have a good...
But we don't need to see that to know Odegaard's had a good game. I do think with Palmer, I think if whenever I, just based off like what's been gone on this season at least, whenever I've said Palmer's played well, he scored or got an assist. It's very obvious that Palmer's played well.
I do think
I think that is the case with Bruno as well.
Like, I see the similarities.
And just to make this point clear as well, quickly, I'm not saying that as a bad thing. We're killing for some goals and assists from Martin Odegaard.
Yeah.
But drop a stinker and bail us out with a goal and assist, a Bruno free kick, at Goodison, like that. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing. And I actually think Bruno's kind of gone from massively overrated to actually a bit kind of underrated. Right, because I actually think Bruno's all right. I think what he does in that United team and whatever. So I'm not saying it as a bad thing, but I just know that some Chelsea fans won't want to hear that. And Bobby's throwing his arms up.
I kind of hear, look, I see where you're coming from. I don't all the way lean into the Bruno thing, but I do. The similarities are there. Yeah. Like, huge first season, goals and assists, so much so that you become like synonymous with goals and assists. And then second season, it's still kind of there.
But there's less pens.
But there's exactly. And then now the questions start to come about the overall play. When you lose a couple of games or you draw a couple of games,
how easily you'll give the ball away.
You're not really involved,
trying to do the.
So I'm not gonna say that it's crazy what you're saying. I do see where you're coming from. I don't know with Cole Palmer though. Like, I rate him as a player, but these last 10, 12 games have been really poor. Like, I've been screaming for some quality. I've been screaming for some, like, win me this match, do what you do type thing. And it just never comes. And as you're saying, it looks so much worse now that Chelsea aren't getting pens and I'm not seeing so cold. I'm not seeing all this kind of stuff, yeah. So, I think with Cole Palmer, man, I think
another thing they throw at Bruno, the big game.
Yeah,
game tax,
no, 100%.
Which we've seen all of this season.
I just think more so than about Cole Palmer himself, I think the conversation around Cole Palmer is very interesting because Cole Palmer is still a young player. He's developing his game. I think these are the setbacks. Cole Palmer was not looking for these setbacks, but this is what he wanted when he wanted to be playing football week in, week out. Is to go through the ups and the downs of it all to realize that, man, I actually can't maintain that level for 38 games a season.
Every year.
I'm not Superman. I need to use my teammates. I need to do all of this kind of stuff. I think these are the lessons that he's needed to learn and wouldn't really learn in a Pep system. However, everybody else was talking about Cole Palmer as if Cole Palmer is the best player in the league, as if Cole Palmer is, this guy is with Salah, he's with Saka, he's with these kind of guys, shoulders on my back, I'm carrying attacks type thing.
Were you not one of them?
I never said he was the best player in the league. Can never get behind that. But now that's all gone. That's quiet. There's crickets. No one's saying that.
I mean, now
Cole's the best in the league, or Cole's this, or Cole's that.
I remember we did our Saka, Foden, Palmer debate, and I said at the time,
still have it the same way,
that I just don't think you can put Palmer in a conversation with Saka until there's a body of work to look at.
And I do think that, and this comes to my point where it's like, if Palmer does finish sixth twice in a row, it quietens down, and more to your point, until we actually see where this can go or what this can do. Because I do think that a lot of guys can have good seasons and get a team to sixth.
Bruno Fernandes.
So if Palmer, the best in the league and the best of Palmer and Palmer's 20 and 10 seasons, and and this is to my Salah point, like when a guy gets that much percentages of the goals, but then there's just other teams that are just a better team.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, you've done very well, But because this team was, more equipped, and you actually, for Palmer to get Chelsea to fourth, it's looking like he needs to score 30 and 20. He might need to get Salah things.
But also, like you said, when Chelsea have been on this run and whatever, we're calling out Cole Palmer. Same reason we're calling out Odegaard. There's a level of expectation.
Yeah, there is.
Right, like Noni's not doing his thing. Pedro Neto's not had a good season, and Kunku's been absolutely terrible.
Neto is another guy I would love to get onto.
Nicholas Jackson's been poor since the beginning of December. João Felix isn't even there anymore.
Yeah, and Kunku, you've said, yeah,
right. Cole Palmer, there's an expectation on you
step it up, bro,
to kind of dig your team out of this, right? Which again comes back to that like body of work that I mentioned that I've seen. We mentioned Bukayo Saka.
Yeah.
But look, again, like you say, he's a young player. I'm not really trying to get onto him.
No, I completely agree, and I still like him. I still think that
same.
he's entertaining and brings a lot to the league and all this kind of stuff. But
I just wanted to make the Bruno point because it's like not to necessarily bring Cole Palmer down, but almost to just kind of say that I actually think that Bruno gets too much, and obviously he plays for Man United. But
it doesn't help.
Almost gets too much hate.
Yeah, I agree. Like the similarities are there. I'm not all the way like Cole Palmer and Bruno.
Like it's not like I think Bruno's a scrub, and I'm trying to say that.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I know just in terms of like game styles and effectiveness to the team.
Yeah,
it looks very similar right now. It does look very, very similar. Now, as I say, I will give you that 100%. But I do think to give also shoot Cole Palmer some bail. Like Cole Palmer's got 10 goals and he's got 5-6 assists or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like say Cole Palmer, he can only do half a season. But he's had a good first half of the season. It's up for Neto and Jackson and
like
Sancho.
Palmer will probably still end with 15.
Yeah, it's up for Sancho and these guys.
Yeah, Sancho, I didn't even mention Sancho.
It's up for Sancho and these guys to be like, all right, Cole Palmer held us down for the first 10 weeks.
Yeah.
13, 14 match weeks.
Yeah.
I'll grab a goal in the second half of the season. Neto, I'll grab an assist. I'll do this and that. Well, the Neto and Sancho stuff, I think it's so interesting. Like, these are two talented players. Yeah. But they just haven't really hit the ground running at Chelsea and like done anything to pull up any tree stumps to say like, I'm here, or this position is mine, or I'm moving forward. Yeah. This is sorted. Yeah. Don't worry about this moving forward.
Yeah, you're never gonna get me on the Sancho one. I'm just the wrong person to talk to about that.
Yeah.
Because,
but I did think,
but Neto 100%.
I did think, just to say the Sancho thing, I did think at the start of the season that like, do Chelsea really have a nailed on left winger? Can Sancho make that position his own? Is he talented enough?
No.
And obviously, I agree. It's easy. It's easy to say that back then.
I'm not the person.
Yeah, it's easy to say that back then. But I did ask myself that question. Yeah, I'm like, bro, you've just come off a Champions League final and all this kind of stuff. The hype is real and everybody's loving you. Can you lock down a position?
Real?
Can you lock down a position in a top 6 club in the Premier League that doesn't have a left winger? And the answer is no for Sancho. Sancho can't lock down that position. And
but Neto, I'm 100% with you. I'm disappointed. He's had a poor season. I thought he was better than that. He was a player I wanted at Arsenal. And it's weird because I still think
I'm not here to say that Neto's a bad player. I'm always just here to say that it's now like the 3rd or 4th season that Neto is underperforming his quality.
Yeah.
Like he has more quality than 1 goal or 2 goals, 1 assist, or 1 goal, 2 assists.
And ultimately, as a forward player, you're going to be judged on that.
I mean, Noni has, for whatever Chelsea fans want to say about Noni, he's got like triple the goal contributions to Neto.
Yeah.
Yes, he's got a hat trick and all this kind of stuff. But
the context that Noni's only scored in 3 games.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Neto scored in 2 games.
But he's got triple the goal contributions.
But I agree.
And Noni was 30 mil and Neto was 60 mil.
Look, we'll see where Chelsea, because they have to make top 4. We've said that previously on this pod,
and they have to win the Conference League.
Yeah. The 12:30 game, which we kind of missed on our way to Arsenal, was Everton versus Man United. Everton going 2-0 up. United making a comeback in the second half, leaving with 2-2 after a dubious penalty.
Yeah,
VAR ruled out.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
but
it was a pen.
I mean, on the Everton side of things, David Moyes,
things are looking good.
It looks like he's got his own version of the Super Boost Light with Beto.
I don't know if you could call it light if it's better.
No, well,
might be extra heavy Super Boost.
I used to say that Beto has nothing for us.
Yeah, no, I used to. The whole Beto isn't a footballer. I was there for that.
Yeah. Even Jesper Lindstrom and James Harrison and Doucouré's bagging goals. But we know Doucouré.
We know what Doucouré is.
I knew Doucouré.
Yeah.
But shout out David Moyes, man. A lot of props to David Moyes. I think Everton are pretty much safe.
Yeah, they are. Well, it looks
just from what David Moyes has done.
I don't think there will be, apart from Wolves, who have Cunha and Strand Larsen and stuff, I don't think there will be a team below Everton that will have a striker go 3-2. Or maybe Delap's good.
Yeah.
Obviously I rate Delap, but I just think that the reason Everton are pretty much safe now is because if Moyes can get Beto to have 4-3 or whatever Beto has right now, it probably means that they've got. Well, I said it to you last year about the difference down at the bottom, like Defensemen's Championships at the top, but down at the bottom, I think
the goals
keep you up. Like you can leak, but if you can at least score something.
Elijah Adebayo.
Yeah.
He was the only reason they really him and Carlton, Morris, like kind of a bit. But mainly Adebayo was keeping them in it.
Yeah, I completely agree. No, I think Moyes has done a fantastic job, man. Moyes has been brilliant. I think everything there is to say about this game is that Man United are wiping their brow at the fact that Everton are only 2 points ahead of them instead of 4.
Yeah.
Like that's where we are right now.
And because West Ham won, they're now level on points with Man United.
So that's where we are right now. Man United are like, thank goodness Everton have only 2 points ahead of us instead of the dreaded 4 points ahead of us.
So Wagwan then, Amorim.
Bro, this is a curious case because I really don't think you can sack Amorim.
You can't, right?
I really don't. He's not even.
There's just no way
they only gave him Dorgu.
Yeah.
In Jan.
Yeah.
That was it. So the fact that he hasn't been able to turn things around.
They took Anthony, they took Rashford. Shit.
The fact that he's not been able to turn things around with Dorgu isn't surprising. You know, he has to get a summer window.
The agenda for Dorgu's is getting strong already.
He has to get a summer window and stuff. But I also could very well see Amorim shaking hands at the end of the season and just being like
an Amorim walking.
They'll word it how they word it. They'll come to a mutual agreement, and after much assessment and looking at the period ahead and all this kind of stuff. Because Man United have a real genuine, and we said
I don't think it's completely out of the question because
he looks so unhappy, bro.
And I think there's a chance that Amorim realizes that
this is bigger than me.
Even if I get 4 or 5 players, like where can I really take
this is bigger than me,
this football club, this squad, like with everything going on. But the reason I don't think that will happen is because I think the managers like Ruben Amorim, like Mikel Arteta, like on a slot, like Fabian Herzler, Iraola have a thing of like, well, I'm the guy that's going to change this.
Yeah. No, and I look, the reward for turning around Man United will be a pot of gold. Bro, you will get paid, you will get plaudits, you will get whatever you're looking for in the game, whatever sort of recognition and fame and money.
Everything he's come to Man United for.
Yeah, well, is still right there.
Yeah.
You'll get that. But as you're saying, Amorim needs to look at himself in the mirror and look at the club and the situation and say, is this genuinely feasible? As much as Amorim thinks he's the guy to turn it around, Ashworth has gone. Ineos are making business calls up top. If Amorim's going into the summer window saying, I need 4, 5, 6 out of these guys minimum. Yeah, these are my targets. I need 4, 5 of them minimum. And the club are like, well, we might give you 2 and we're going to bring in 2 of our own because we think that these guys are better than your guys and stuff. Then Amorim's got to make...
I still think Amorim will believe in himself enough
judgment call
to at least try it.
In terms of...
And at least go for it.
Amorim's job safety from a club perspective, I don't think the club should have any thoughts of selling Amorim or sacking Amorim or whatever. But when Amorim first came in, we did make the stipulation. What are United going to do? Are they really going to back a manager who wants to play a 5 at the back, wing back system? Obviously, the answer seems simple because they've already hired him. Yeah. But if United are having doubts, some fans have said that I'm looking at Amorim now and thinking that I don't know if he's going to be the one type thing. If United have those doubts, is it going to be a Ten Hag thing 2.0 where you back him and then you realize, you say, you know what, I always thought he wasn't good enough and get rid of him.
You build a squad to try and play a 3-4-3.
So,
right? And I think that can happen. I think, look, the way Amorim's going, no matter what happens, United fans are going to expect him to start next season with 5 wins out of 6, right, in the league. That's how they're going to expect from all of this shit that United fans are going through right now, all of this shit that Amorim's doing at the minute. They are going to expect that at the very start of next season, there is a clear and obvious turnaround. Otherwise, they will lose faith and it will start getting very long for Amorim.
That's why it's even so interesting, the decision to bring him now. They've almost used up, or bring him when they brought him in November to January, they've almost used up a lot of fans' good faith.
Yeah, exactly.
With Amorim.
Yeah.
They've almost just like thrown it away.
Yeah.
So Amorim can't even ask for time. Because fans would have said, what was last season about then?
And it could have, I know obviously this is hindsight, because at the time we were saying Ten Hag has to be sacked, but they could have made their decision to keep Ten Hag for another year look so much better if they just let Ten Hag
just fail, be what Amorim is now.
Yeah, right, maybe better than that. Right? There were 4 points off top 4 when Amorim came in, but let Ten Hag fail this season, finish 9th,
or wherever. Right? Xerxes a dud, Højlund's a dud. Ten Hag wanted these guys, 100%. And it's all nothing.
And then Amorim gets his wish because he wanted to come in the summer anyway. You then bring him in the summer, you give him the window, you give him the preseason and all of that. But ultimately, this pod's going to keep going because there's going to be Man United content for the rest of the season.
I think Man United could get 3 wins.
Let's fucking hope one of them's not against us.
Yeah, let's hope one of them against us. But from now to the end of the season, in potentially all comps, I think Man United could get 3 wins.
And they're still in FA Cup and Europa.
That's what I'm saying. And to your point, I completely agree. Fans are going to want 5 out of 6 wins at the start of next season, no matter what happens. And I wouldn't be surprised if Amorim is still trying to get a tune out of Mount and Luke Shaw and stuff next season. Because
Mount definitely. Probably Luke Shaw, to be fair. But look, those are all the games we're going to talk about this week. So MVPs and rookies of the week. I've only got one MVP written down here for me this week. Tyrese Halliburton. The Pacers beat the Clippers. My boy, 29 points, 15 assists. They were saying that
that's nasty.
He's not putting up points, and
he's not putting up points.
He's not the guy, and then he comes through, and
he's not the
Clippers, who are sleepers in the West. We know.
Clippers.
Shout out Kendrick.
The big perk.
Big perk.
No, my MVP will go to Luka. Big win.
Yeah.
Luka big win versus the Denver Nuggets. JJ.
Yep.
Has to get one. LeBron, obviously. Let's just give the three-headed monster an MVP.
We were talking down on JJ.
Yeah. No, I'm happy to see JJ do his thing now. I'll give an MVP to... I don't even know if he does deserve an MVP. I'll give an MVP to Sam Dong-Won. I don't know if he does deserve an MVP, but I like the fight.
Yeah.
I also want to give Henry Cejudo an MVP. At 38, he wasn't washed. He wasn't like, oh, this guy, what's he even doing here in the ring?
Agreed.
And
rookies,
I'll give one to Jamie Carragher.
Yeah, I've literally got Jamie Carragher written here.
It's just ignorance. I'm not gonna lie. It's just so ignorant to the situation at hand.
Basically, Jamie Carragher, they were talking about Salah, and Jamie Carragher was kind of disrespecting Salah's potential ability to win an AFCON, calling it not a major tournament.
Yeah.
Michael Richards and Daniel Sturridge at least did their part. They didn't just sit there.
I was also, you know what I liked about it being Michael Richards and Daniel Sturridge? They're not even of African heritage. They play in Copa America, those guys.
Yeah,
Jamaica.
Yeah.
The Jamaican heritage guys play in Copa America. So for them to be like, hey, Jamie, let's just, AFCON is... Yeah. I think it's just ignorance from Jamie, man.
I think Rio was coming out today and saying, like, ask Eto'o, Drogba, Yaya Toure, Riyad Mahrez,
anybody. I think
what AFCON means to them.
Yeah. You see the photos.
Right? And Eto'o's won multiple Champions Leagues, multiple league titles. Drogba's done the same. Mahrez has done the same. If you ask them what the AFCON means to them,
it would mean the same thing to Salah. If Salah was to win the AFCON, Egypt would be shut down.
Yeah,
party on the streets.
Yeah.
Like it literally is the same for the Euros and the Copa America and you know, all the other ones. Like it's
because then I think Carragher tried to like weasel his way out by saying, well, he's not going to win the World Cup. I was like, okay, cool. The World Cup's bigger than all of the
combined
regional tournaments, but that wasn't your point.
Yeah. You were saying like it's just a minor thing.
Yeah. You're talking about AFCON, and because if it was Euros, you wouldn't say that about Parma.
It's just poor, innit? And the worst thing is, I'll give it's not even really Sky Sports' fault, but I'll give Sky Sports a Rookie of the Week just because, as I say, the fact that the season is over and title is sorted, relegation is looking sorted, always gonna happen there, but there's just gonna be nothing but like fan baiting from Sky Sports now of like who's had a terrible season and whose stocks are rising and stuff. I just can see the content moving forward dropping its standard now that we don't actually have,
and not that the standard
is high at all.
Sort of level.
Yeah, but now it's gonna plummet into just like Twitter troll football type stuff.
But that's why it's perfect that we're post All-Star break.
Watch out for the NBA pod.
Yeah. that might be what this turns into. Because I can't like getting this pod out today was a difficult.
It was tough.
One.
Yeah, it was tough.
But look, thank you guys for listening. I think I forgot to mention it, but we are gonna do a top 10 all-time Premier League wingers list coming soon. So I'm asking guys for their list, and I'll put that together in a bit. So look out for that one. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next week. Peace.